Hey y'all, welcome to Pure South Pastures Farm. Today we're out here in the pasture, and what a beautiful spring afternoon this is. And we're just looking over a place where our cattle are going to come in the next couple of days. I've been taking out some infrastructure over here, some stuff that was just real tight paddocks for horses at one time when we purchased this property, but we're just taking all of that out. I'll talk about that at another point, but so I'm just kind of thinking about what size our paddocks are going to be. So I thought I would talk about that today. Just trying to decide at this time of year when you got a lot of forage growth, how big do we make our paddocks? How do we know when it's time to move them on? So we'll talk about some of the questions that I've been getting from my YouTube channel and some of the things you guys have been asking, and just some stuff that I'm learning personally too as I walk through this process of this journey of learning about farming and grazing cattle. So hang in with us today. We'll be talking about green grass, grazing cows, grazing livestock, and just trying to answer some of those questions that we all have. So hang out. It's gonna be a good day. All right, y'all. 3, 2, 1. All right, y'all. So here's what we have. You can see that this pasture is green. It's a little inconsistent. It's not just the same height and growth level all the way across, but I am just thankful for green grass. A lot of it's a ryegrass. There's some stuff in here that I've been trying to figure out what it is, and then got a lot of buttercup like you see right here, and that's just the nature of this pasture, this farm that we're on. And I've told you before, this is not the best. This property is not the best, but we're in the process of trying to make it better, and so that's what this journey is all about. So those of you who want to, write in and tell me about how terrible it looks or whatever, I get it. I know. I'm saying the same thing. Now, I do love this. I'm thankful that we're going to be able to graze our cows on this. I mean, look, this is like this right here is in the 19, 20-inch range, and all of it's not that way, but I'm thankful that it is. And let me show you this. Just full disclosure, you can see that area over there. This is Watensaw Bio. This floods all spring long, and when we get big rains, that'll flood. And it comes up in the pasture, and it'll actually, at certain times, it'll get all the way up there. And you can see on the other side of the bio, it's terrible. I mean, it's not at this time, it's just not growing like the rest of the pasture is. And so when we first purchased this property, I really thought that the part of the pasture that flooded would be some of the most fertile, because I was thinking about the silt that comes in with it. That's what I'd always heard. And so I don't know, it's just kind of perplexing to me that is not one of the most fertile areas. It grows in the hot summertime, it grows a sedge that the cows don't eat, some kind of water grass. And so anyway, there's probably something that needs to be done there. I've thought about maybe putting a cover crop in there and trying to do something to amend that soil. But at this point, I haven't figured out what the deal is. So again, I don't know if that's because of the pressure of the water, and so it's compacted. I don't know if it's I'm just not sure why it's that way. But I just wanted you to see. I mean, I'm showing you this nice green stuff, but I also want you to see the area that's not growing well. One of the things I am excited about is down here, and you can see a lot of the broom sedge, but right down there, there's just a lot of fescue, which this farm didn't have much on. Very little cool season grass on this farm when we acquired it. And now we're seeing the fescue come, and man, I'm super excited about that. I mean, it's really, I measured some of it down there today at I think 18 inches. And so another thing I'm excited about is this, and some people may not like it. I love it because my cows love it, is this hairy vetch. It's all through our pastures. One of the reasons I like it is because our cows love it. Another reason I like it is because it is a legume, and so it is affixing nitrogen. It's taking nitrogen and putting that in our soil for us, just like any clover or any other legume does. So anyway, you can see plenty of weeds here, some pigweed. Every time I see those, especially right here at this early seed head stage when they're tender, I just like to break them off. And I can't get all of them, but I like to go and break them off when I can. I just trying to do my part. We're not going to spray them. and I have seen cows chew the tip of them off. So maybe when they get in here in a couple days. Man, look at this hairy vetch. I just love this stuff. It's all in here. And somebody's probably going to tell me about how terrible it is, but my cows don't know that. They love it. So check it out right here. It's got those purple blooms on it. Man, that stuff is. And then you also see the buttercup. Everybody knows buttercup is no good, no bueno. But it's what we have. It's what we're dealing with. And I can tell you this: after winter on hay, the cows are they'll moonwalk into this pasture. They will enjoy it. They'll love it. So, hey, if anybody can help me with this, I'm wondering what kind of grass this is right here. You can see the seed head coming on it, and I was thinking like it's a foxtail, which isn't great, but a foxtail is really like I think it's a warm season grass, or weed, or forb, or whatever you call it. But anybody help me identify that, I'd appreciate it. Anyway, so I just wanted to show you. So we're at the place now. This forage has grown so tall that it's starting to put on seed heads, and so that's what we're trying to manage, right? We're trying to keep forage in that high growth stage. I talked about that a little bit before. Somebody asked me the other day, how tall should grass be before I graze it? And I think there are a lot that depends on your context or what you're dealing with. For us, we were getting short on hay, and so it was time to put cows on green grass and start rotating because our hay was short, and we had to. So I mean, you can see we've got some growth here, but I haven't brought them in here because I was living off the principle it takes grass to grow grass. When you understand that every blade is like a solar panel, the more solar panel you have, the more growth you get. Now that's kind of a tension to manage, because that's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is when you let it grow too long, then it becomes more lignified, it becomes more stemmy, and once it puts on a seed head, that plant begins to shut down. It's not putting the energy into growth any longer because it's accomplished its purpose. So what we want to do is we want to let it grow until it gets almost to seed head stage, and then we want to bring the cows in. We want to take the tops of it off, not eat it down to the ground, but just take the tops of it off so that it goes back into that it's trying to produce that seed head. So it goes back into that cycle again. So it's a high growth stage. And so that's our goal. So we're coming in here in 2 days. They'll be in here. This has gone a little bit too long. I'm starting to see a few seed heads. And so we want to get them across this and not take a whole bunch of it this time, but get them to take the top of it off. And another reason that I don't want to take a whole lot of it is because if we took it down, what we would do is expose all of this buttercup. And you can see there's all kinds of buttercup down in there. We would expose all of that to sunlight and it would just explode. And obviously we don't want that to happen. So we want the grass to outcompete the weeds. That's another tension that we're trying to manage constantly. We want the grass, when you have a place like we have and there's a lot of weeds, and we're not spraying, we're trying to do this without a lot of inputs and just using animals and the grass and what we have. Well, in that process, you have to manage the tension between grass and weeds, and really trying to let the grass will outcompete the weeds if you let it most of the time. So I'm excited about bringing the cattle in here. I know they're going to be excited when they get here. They're actually on a piece of property now. It's a leased farm that it's not anything like this. There is some green grass there, but we're putting them on really big paddocks and letting them just eat that for a little while. But when we pull them off, it's still green. There's still stuff to grow there. We're just not giving them such a large area where they're not eating it down. And then we'll do the same in here. We'll give them pretty large paddocks in relation to what they will have later in the summer when we tighten them up. So the goal is this time of year, as the forage is growing fast, we want to move them fast. We want to take them across the farm as fast as we can, letting them consume great forage, but also not taking too much of it, so that there's more when we come back, and it just continues to grow fast because we're leaving some blade there to collect sunlight to grow that plant. So anyway, so to answer the question, how long should it be before you move them in? Right now, our cows are on a piece of property that it looks nothing like this, but it was right for us in this context, and it will still grow grass. We're not taking it down too far. Yeah, I think it depends on a lot of different variables, but I would say if you can let it get 6 inches, if you can let it get 8 inches, that's great. Let them take the top of it off, and then let them take the top of it off, and then move them. And moving them is so key this time of year. You got to move them, and you can't say, well, you know, I'm just gonna have this idea that I'm just gonna keep all my animals in one spot for so long all year long, because it's just different times of the year. That's why I like the idea of adaptive grazing. You adapt as you go. What we'll do is we will start grazing this, and then if we see that they're taking too much of it with the area that we're giving them, or if we see that they're not taking enough of it and leaving too many seed heads or whatever behind, then we'll adapt and we'll change as things go. So from day to day, we'll change it. We'll mix it up. Let me show you something here real quick. Something that I've been working on today. So this, before we purchased it, this was they had horses on this farm, and it was set up with these loafing sheds and this permanent infrastructure. There's waterers, and it's a pretty cool setup. You got a loafing shed and you got a fence that goes down the middle, and so that loafing shed and the waterer serves 2 different paddocks, and these are long, narrow paddocks. Well, that's a great idea for horses, but for us, when we had a few cattle, it worked good. We could put them in, you know, 1 or 2 of these paddocks, and they worked well. But I just got tired of messing with, you know, trying to figure out how many paddocks it was going to take. I just didn't want to battle around the infrastructure. So today I've been taking, this was a high tensile electric, and this is just the post. There's no wire here. I've been taking out this electric fence, and I'll be pulling the posts here when I'm done with this video, because I want flexibility. I just feel like if we can be, the more flexible we can be, the more we can just use our geared reels and our step-in posts. We can move them wherever we need them, and then we don't have to battle around the permanent infrastructure that's there. So for us, we want good exterior fence, and give me a blank canvas and let me determine what it needs to be for that day. That's how we want to operate. So that's what we're going to do here. We do have I did leave that permanent fence in right there. There's a line of permanent. I'm gonna leave that in because that lower paddock there is terrible too. And so I just want to be able to keep them off of it until it grows up this summer. Here's some more of that grass I was asking about. I don't know, this may be foxtail, I'm not sure. Kind of looks like it. Just think it's too early. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not too early. Anyway, we'll see what the cows do with it. I bet they're going to eat it. I know my girls, they're not too picky. Normally, if it's green, they'll eat it. So, anyway, I'm loving this time of year, watching the grass grow and bringing the cows out. It's great. Hey, another thing I want to cover real quick, if I can explain this and make it clear as mud. Hopefully you can understand this. So I have a grazing stick here, and you can use anything. You could use a tape measure, anything, a yardstick. But you can measure, you can get a pretty good idea of how to know how much area to give your cows when you use a grazing stick or something to measure the forage. So if you get an average, obviously it's going to be 6 inches somewhere and 12 inches another place and 18 inches another place, but get a pretty good average of the area where you're going to be grazing them. And when you get that average, for us, we don't have pure stands of anything. I mean, it's just mixed grass pasture, and I bet most people is that way. So if you have a mixed grass pasture, it's going to be anywhere from 150 to 250 pounds, depending on how dense it is, per inch. So you get an average of how tall it is, and then you multiply that times 150 to 250, depending on how dense or how heavy it is. So if it's on the high side, if it's really dense, then you can consider it to be 250 per inch. If it's, if it's real sparse and kind of you see a lot of room in between it, then you take it down to the 150, or sometimes in our really bad places, I'll just say I'm even going to guess on the low side, just so that I know that I'm giving them enough. Okay, so you take that, it's whatever the average is times 150 to 250, depending on how thick it is, and then you take whatever your cattle weigh. So if you take the weight of all of them together, and you can get a pretty good idea, just kind of how many pounds of animal do you have in your herd. And so for me, we have 19 animals, but I know because of the calves and stuff, we have around 13 to 15,000 pounds of animal. You could say 13 animal units or 15 animal units. That's one cow or one animal unit would be 1,000 pounds. Okay, so for us, it's 13 or 15,000. We'll just say 13,000. 3% of their body weight. So 3% of 13,000 is how much they need for a day. So if it was just one cow, it'd be 3% of her, 1,000-pound cow would be 3% of her body weight. That's how much she needs a day. So see, you're figuring out how much your forage weighs, or how much there, and you figure out how much your cows need, 3% of their total body weight. And so then you're going to know how much they're going to eat. Well, what you want to make sure is that you don't just give them the amount that they're going to need, because then you have nothing left, right? They're going to eat it down to the dirt. So what I like to do is give them either half, or make sure there's double that, or that maybe even more than that, so that they're not going to take it all the way down. They're not even going to take it halfway down, but they're going to take it. They'll take the top third and leave the rest. I hope you understand what I'm saying there. So you can figure out how much your cows are going to need, and then you figure out how much forage you have in the paddock that you're giving them. Then you can understand, okay, well, I don't want to give them just enough space where they're going to eat it all. I want to give them enough space where there's double that amount of forage there, so they only eat half of it and leave half of it, or trample half of it. So anyway, that's probably clear as mud. Maybe I can leave a formula here either in the notes or on the screen, so that you can maybe see it and understand it better. So hopefully I've explained that. But that's what we're going to do. And again, even when we do that, then it's just kind of touch and go, kind of feeling it out as we go. And if something needs to be adapted, then we'll adapt it the next day and change that. So that's how we'll be doing it, and constantly changing and feeling as we go. And we're going to make a lot of mistakes along the way. I just know we always do. But guess what? When you make a mistake, it's a learning point, and you pick up tomorrow and you do something different. You change it, make it better. So that's what we're going to do. So guys, thank you for hanging in the video with me today. And I always wait till this point, because I feel like if you're invested all the way to this point, then I just want to ask you if you would do something for me. If you just take a minute and hit that subscribe button. I said last time that 91% of our viewers, people who watch our videos, are not subscribers. And so I would just really, really appreciate it. It helps us get our content out there, helps us to, in the YouTube algorithm. If you'll like it, subscribe, share it, all of those things matter a lot. And so I just appreciate you taking time to do that. Doesn't cost you anything, totally free. I mean, you get to see our stuff, but more than anything, I just appreciate you helping us get the message out and get the word out. So hey, thank you for all of you who've been watching, the way you've been commenting and sharing your thoughts with me. I just am really, really grateful for that. I love the interaction. I love getting to hear from people all around the world, and talking about the stuff that I love. I just want to grow together in this journey of learning to farm. That's what I'm doing, just learning. And as we learn, we'll learn together, and you can go on the whole journey with me. It's gonna be cool this summer to see how these pastures turn into the summer warm season grasses. We've got a lot of Bermuda here, a lot of Bahia, and so the ryegrass will be turning into Bermuda Bahia before long. It's going to be blazing hot. We're going to be working on watering systems and shade structures, and so all of that is to come. So hang in with us through the summer, and let's see how we can transform this soil and make it great. Hey, this is actually the Monday after Easter, and just awesome. Yesterday, celebrating new life, and I'm a pastor, and we just had an awesome day yesterday, and people accepted Jesus as their Savior, and to me, that's the most important thing. We talk about life and all this life springing forth out here. The most important thing is that that you understand that Jesus is life, and yeah, if I could say anything to you, the most important thing you could do is accept Jesus Christ as your personal Savior. He gives life and life abundantly, not just in eternity, but here on earth. And so I'm so grateful for that today. Hey, God bless you guys. Have a great day. Thank you for staying with me all the way to the end. Hope you have a great day, and just believing for God to bless all that you do.